Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. We are going to be breaking down our most important charts, talking about the crypto markets by Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as jumping into the total market cap of DeFi. This is such an important time to be looking at the markets because we're all starting to see major breakouts on all of our indexes, and this is pointing towards a much bigger move coming inside of the market. Once this market takes off, we're going to see profits, probably some of the biggest profits that we're going to get in the beginning of this cycle. And so we need to be prepared, we need to be ready, and we need to be positioned to capitalize on this coming move moving forward. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. Over the last couple days, Bitcoin is continuing to make a very big push, and like I talked about in some of my prior videos, all we're really doing is just building this pretty steep parabolic curve, and it's kind of just getting steeper right here. We're at the last stages before we're pretty much just about to start sending it. And in my opinion, where we're about to go is the top of this lower high that we've been talking about all the way over here. You know, it could top a little bit early, maybe like 44, 45, but you know, we've been looking at 48,500 since all the way back at the beginning of the year when we first actually broke out of the 25K level. So we've been watching the same level. Nothing has really changed. The analysis has been kind of boring, but you know, this is why you continue to stick to the trend. It was very obvious to tell that Bitcoin had made a big breakout. We got our 4-year cycle low happening in November 2022, which was exactly 4 years from our last major cycle low being the end of the year 2018. So we knew that we were at a major pivot point. So to see the market break out, to see the market continue to maintain an uptrend for this entire year, and not only that, but to actually make a higher high in the process, right? Because we broke out of this prior high at 25K. This was the first higher high that we made. We retested it a number of different times all the way throughout here, confirming the higher high. And then we finally broke out of even that high. So we're currently sitting in kind of mini price discovery, I guess you could say. But the cool thing about this entire consolidation has been the fact that we've basically gone from like $34,000 all the way to like $39,000, and we've still just been consolidating on this trend line. We haven't even had a real breakout yet. So that's kind of why I'm really thinking and leaning towards us actually finishing the move all the way to the top of this lower high being 48,500, just because our consolidation has taken us from here to basically here. We've just been trending like that. So we don't have that much room to go until we're sitting at that resistance. And I think that that's the most likely scenario for the price of Bitcoin. So watching forward with this, we're going to be looking at a move all the way up to the top of this lower high to kind of finish out this impulse. And I do think we could have a decent sized correction to follow. I'm not necessarily trying to worry too much about the correction to follow because, like I've stated many times in years past, guys, when we're looking at the market, all we're really looking at is the consolidation below all-time highs. And historically speaking, once we get around the Bitcoin halving, once we get closer towards the final year and a half of that cycle, that's when we've seen Bitcoin kind of start breaking all-time highs. And we're only a year into this new cycle. So we've got another half a year, potentially even a whole nother year to go before we're actually at the point of us going into price discovery. So we don't want to get too carried away. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We want to make sure that we're picking smart investments for the long term, continuing to stick to those investments. And then as we get these dips, just looking to accumulate back into those same positions we have high conviction on. Because if we do come all the way back down to potentially retest this trend line again, you'll want to make sure that you're not just over leveraged, you're not just screwing yourself over, and you're actually able to potentially buy that coming dip that may follow. And if we don't end up getting a dip, you don't also want to be having all of your profit taken before we're ever even into new all-time highs, because if the market ends up taking off a little bit quicker than you imagined and it front runs you, how are you going to know when to get back in the market? You're not. You're going to get priced out, and then that is a real hard struggle to be able to make it all the way back going into the next bull run. If we just finished our major 4-year cycle low, then we know that we've got a 3-year bull run upon us, right? Because from here to here was almost exactly 1,450 days, which is 4 years, right? So we see from cycle low to cycle low, going all the way back in 2018, we see that we completed and we actually began a new 4-year cycle. So what we're looking at here from the cycle low, we're looking at 3 years up. So like 1,000 60 days approximately, somewhere in there. So like the end of the year 2025. If we're only a year into this new bull run, right? Because if we started here, we're a little over a year into this new cycle. We've got 2 more years worth of the actual uptrend to go. Are you really going to try to get over ahead of yourselves taking heavy profit below those all-time highs? Or are you going to look to, potentially accumulate for the long-term trend? I think the either or scenario is good if you can actually profit off of the shorter term stuff. But for me, it's like I would rather focus on the long term. It's safer, it's easier. The majority of people can follow along with that, which is why I try and get everybody else to kind of follow the same strategy. It's not because I'm some expert. It's just the fact that this is an easier strategy that is proven to work, that has been back tested over 10 plus years, and I know that I've been able to do it for myself. And so I know for a fact this is the plan I'm sticking to, and I don't want to get too crazy with the profit taking as we're just barely kind of making these legs up. Don't get me wrong. If you've got altcoins that are sitting up in heavy profit that you bought early on, there's a lot of short-term stuff that you're not going to want to hold through that. You're going to want to take profits. But if you've got stuff that your plan was to hold the cycle with, you don't want to be selling any of that. It's just a matter of having your plan in place and knowing how you're going to be trading going forward, and that's going to help you guys make the most profit. So just be aware of these things moving forward. So looking at the price of ETH, we see that it's right on the verge of a breakout. And so when ETH breaks out, this is the point where we're going to see a lot of altcoin profits rolling in. Been in this massive ascending triangle since we, bottomed in June. It was one of the few altcoins to bottom in June. The best altcoins that have held the best support have bottomed in June, have maintained higher highs from that point. This is just this long ascending triangle, and it looks like we're finally nearing a point of us breaking out. Now, if we do break out, I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of a retest. If we get that retest, you got to buy that dip. It just seems like such an obvious scenario setting up right there before we do make that final leg up, whether that's the top of this lower high being 3,300 or whether it's the top of this lower high being 3,600. That's really where I think that Ethereum is headed. Probably just the top of this lower high in one big move, considering the amount of time that we've spent consolidating below, because we're actually just consolidating right below the support of that lower high. So why would we spend 500 plus days accumulating in this ascending triangle and then just barely even break up and then, top like this? Why would that makes no sense. And so I do think that we're going to get a pretty decent sized breakout all the way back up to the top. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see ETH actually overextend this in some sort of big euphoric type of, mini blow off top, I guess you could say. I'm not anticipating much of a blow off top because I'm expecting this to just keep trending up as we get closer towards 2024 and 2025. Real upside is 2025. That's when we should be in price discovery. So that's kind of where my focus is on all of this. We're just getting to the point of breaking out. So if ETH breaks out, there's going to be a lot of altcoin profits that are going to be running. A lot of altcoins will be in short-term price discovery. That's kind of why I made yesterday's video talking a little bit about some of the newer altcoins, as well as some of the cryptos that have already kind of taken off, because those are some that we want to be watching for once this move officially sets in. Now, when we come over here and look at the total DeFi market cap, this is really my favorite one because I think the biggest profits are going to be in DeFi. If this is the institutional cycle, DeFi money is going to be blowing up like crazy. That's where all the money is going to want to participate. And so we're also starting to see some of the bigger gains. All the cryptos blowing up in the DeFi space are providing some massive returns over the last recent while. Rune has actually been one of the big winners recently, going nearly all the way back to its all-time highs. So as we're seeing this, you got to expect that this is just barely breaking out, just barely making a new high. With the amount of upside that we have to our next resistance, I expect that there's going to be a lot more profit coming in that niche. It's only worth $60 billion total, and we're just barely breaking that descending resistance. There is the biggest gap I have ever seen in my entire life to fill. Look at how big that gap is, where there's absolutely no resistance. That is an absolutely massive gap. So if you're looking for what's going to give us the best return, I don't really think that you can go wrong betting on DeFi, considering it's like 80% just to the next resistance. So the upside potential in DeFi is way bigger than anything else. It's been the laggard so far, but I also think it's going to be the thing that probably provides the biggest returns, especially with how much more undervalued it is compared to the rest of the market. I don't really think you can go wrong accumulating it. When we see the whole market, all we're looking at is a pretty decent sized breakout for Bitcoin, probably some type of short-term blow off top like this. I would not be the least bit surprised to see something janky that really traps everybody that ends up FOMO buying up at the top of resistance. It's just something to be aware about. That's why I say I'm more focused on the long term. I do have short-term stuff and I do trade short-term stuff, and that's when I really do plan to take those profits, is when we rocket up to the top of this. You know, if we go up a little higher, I got my long-term stuff and it doesn't really matter if I took profit on the other stuff too early, because it was short-term stuff anyways. If we see some type of nasty pullback where we come all the way back down and retest this trend line, it's going to trap a lot of the late buyers. I just think we're better off being patient if that happens, you know, not being too heavily invested in the short-term stuff, and just knowing that we got to take those profits when this move actually comes. Hold the long-term stuff, take your profits on the short-term just to be safe. Now, one of the other things I wanted to talk about was the Bitcoin dominance chart, because I feel like it's such an important time where we're at today. Now, we're currently sitting just on top of our prior high, and it's looking like we're about to make a new high in the process. The next high is going to be taking us flush with our all-time descending resistance. This is the descending resistance that we started in 2017, and this, guys, if you notice, this was bearish price discovery. 2017 was when the Bitcoin dominance lost support and went into a new all-time low. That's bearish price discovery, right? It had never been to these low of levels before, and it was kind of feeling the way. This is when we had that massive 2017 alt run, right? And the reason it was so big was because of the fact Bitcoin dominance was in price discovery. Altcoins were in price discovery against Bitcoins. They were outperforming Bitcoin massively in the process. Now, then the 2018 bear market rolls around. This is when Bitcoin dominance climbs all the way back up. We kind of topped here at 2019 when Bitcoin rallied at 14K, and we had the COVID black swan. We ended up running all the way back up and tagging that descending resistance. And so where we're currently at today is getting near that exact same moment of time that's currently produced the last two, major sell-offs that produced alt season, right? So when we're looking at this, the reason why I think that this one is so much more powerful is because our last cycle, this was our last cycle. And if you guys notice here, this was only bearish consolidation, considering this was our all-time low, and we never made a new all-time low at the end of our cycle, right? At the very top of our cycle, I should say. When Bitcoin rallied all the way to its peak, altcoins never actually outperformed Bitcoin past their new all-time highs of their last cycles of 2017. So we never ended up seeing quite the significance of, a bull market. The altcoins didn't quite outperform Bitcoin in that same way. And now we've been kind of uptrending in this similar sort of fashion. It's its own sort of thing at the same time. But as we're getting closer and closer to that descending resistance, I'm thinking that we're going to have one more peak, and then that's going to be the moment where we start to lose this and we come all the way down for a brand new all-time low. The reason why I believe this cycle is going to be so powerful for the altcoins is because this will be the first cycle since 2017 that the altcoins will actually be outperforming against Bitcoin. They will be in price discovery against the Bitcoin dominance, and that will be an amazing opportunity for anybody that's holding these altcoins. And that's why I say, guys, when I look at these markets, I see DeFi worth $60 billion total. It's honestly just laughable because of how much money is going to be in this on an institutional scale once the real bull market sets in. So I mean, I don't think that we can be any earlier unless you were all the way back down in here, but regardless, you're still early. This is just breaking out of its all-time descending resistance. There is a massive amount of profit ahead of us, and that goes for the rest of the market. Once altcoins break out, we're going to see a lot of profit there. ETH is just awaiting that move before the rest of the market follows, and we're all kind of just watching Bitcoin as Bitcoin makes this final run up to our target at 48,500. So guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys liked this video, if you guys want more, if you guys want to be able to see how I'm actually investing in my portfolio, different altcoins I'm picking up, anything that I'm doing with my personal money, going over this bull run, links are in the description to go ahead and actually sign up on my website. From there, you're going to be able to actually get access to my private Discord server. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. So as long as you guys are in there, you're always going to have access, no matter if I'm trading in crypto, no matter if I take my profits and move into a different market, just awaiting for the crypto bear market to end. I'm always going to be investing my entire life. It's all I really know. I dropped out of school to do this. So I mean, at the end of the day, most of you guys are older than me, so you might as well jump in there because I'll probably outlive you. You'll be able to always see what I'm doing. So check it out. Links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for the support. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.